You have surely seen some of this painting, and you've surely heard some of the names associated with them. Vincent van Gogh, Paul Gauguin, Paul Cézanne. All of these masterpieces represent the art movement that radically transformed the world and greatly influenced the art that you love to this very day. It's called Post-Impressionism. Art has always been about expression and creativity, but there was a time centuries ago when it was very rigid and set in its ways. The Impressionist era revolved around finite, realistic depictions of the world. Beautiful, classic, but maybe a bit boring. That's what several up-and-coming artists thought. Vincent van Gogh, Paul Gauguin, Georges Seurat, Paul Cézanne. These revolutionaries all carried one common belief.
Feel things.
It was supposed to portray the world around them as well as real, tangible emotion through abstract techniques and forms. They didn't know it, but they were creating a fresh artistic movement that would shake up the world, the Post-Impressionism. So these artists didn't really see themselves as a unified group, and they actually became known as the Post-Impressionists after their lives are already ended. So the term Post-Impressionism was coined by the English art critic called Roger Elliot Fry. We used it to name an exhibition, Manet and the Post-Impressionists, in 1910. Post-Impressionists used daring, vivid colors, and abstract shapes to create astonishing visual effects. This was a stark difference in the ways that the world was viewed and portrayed before. Let's take a look at the four best-known artists to ever do it. First, we have Vincent van Gogh, a man so famous that his name is synonymous with modern art. The Dutch painter truly needs little to no introduction. During his prolific career, Van Gogh created many masterpieces using his signature expressive brush strokes and brilliant colors. By using these revolutionary techniques, Van Gogh showed us parts of his inner world, rich with emotions that were sometimes tortured by his inner demons. When we observe his iconic self-portrait with bandaged ear, we witness an artist in a fragile mental state. We cannot hear Van Gogh, and yet this work speaks for him and creates a universal and relatable pain that is downright palpable. While so much art before Post-Impressionism was about beautiful vistas and landscapes, this style of art invited observers to see the landscapes of the soul. Van Gogh knew just how radical his work was and how challenging too. He even wrote to his brother Theo and told him, "People say, and I'm quite willing to believe it, that it's difficult to know oneself, but it's not easy to paint oneself either." And the second, we have Georges Seurat. He preferred a more scientific approach to painting. That's why he focused on theories related to optics and colors. Seurat's best-known artwork is called A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grande Jatte. The theme of the painting seemed very impressionistic, showing members of Parisian society enjoying their day out on their river. However, the ways in which Seurat painted was distinct, novel, and new. He mastered a radical technique that became known as pointillism. So, based on that name, you won't be surprised to hear that pointillism consists of an artist using tiny dots of pure colors like violet, green, blue, yellow, orange, and red. The colors weren't mixed on a palette as they typically are. Instead, they were placed next to each other directly onto the canvas. The idea was to achieve a kind of optical mixture when looking at the artwork. So the third artist is Paul Gauguin. Gauguin crafted his post-impressionist artworks using brilliant, vivid colors and simple forms during his life. Gauguin traveled intensively and went all around the world in hopes of locating inspiration. He went to Brittany, then Arles, where he was shared a house with Van Gogh for 2 turbulent and troubled months. Now an unaccomplished world traveler, Gauguin then visited Martinique, Panama, and lived in Tahiti for the majority of the last 12 years of his life. It was there that he made some of his best-known work, but he led quite a problematic lifestyle. He was known to engage in sexual relationships with Tahitian teenage girls for many years. Gauguin's work shows how many experts, critics, and historians have to view art as a product that is both independent of its creator but also heavily influenced by him too. Does art exist without the artist? Well, can you judge art without proving of the person behind it? Gauguin remains a challenging but undeniably accomplished figure in the world of art history. So the last famous post-impressionist artist is Paul Cézanne. Was all about excellence, a perfectionist in so many ways. This famous painter liked to slave over his work for long hours, focusing on each and every detail meticulously and never settling for anything short of flawless. His wife, Marie Horton, spent countless hours posing for Cézanne and was known to complain about having to sit still for so long in one position. So, si Marie Horton is, sabi niya, I spent countless hours posing for Cézanne. So, syempre yun, nagreklamo na nga siya. Therefore, painting still lives was ideal for the French artist because there wasn't anyone who could get bored with posing. In his post-impressionist paintings of various fruits laid out on the table, Cézanne abandoned a traditional perspectives and played with portraying objects from multiple sides. He was fundamentally changing how artists portrayed the real world, and because of that, was also fundamentally changing how art fans saw the world.